The twin forces of mobility and virtualization are converging. You can view these dynamics as either more headaches or massive opportunity. All the optimism in the world, however, is lost without being grounded in the reality of the situation. Why is this happening? And what does it mean for your business? It's never been more important to focus on a strategy and not get lost in the tactics. Today's show is about embracing a strategy for a modern workspace. My name is Rob Boyd. You're watching BIZ Tech. Author Neil Anderson, Director of Systems Architecture, is here to help us understand the strategies. Samsung Mobility Director Kenneth Daniels provides insight to what top handset manufacturers can be doing for us. Phil Sherburne leads desktop virtualization solutions for Cisco. He illustrates just how efficient and productive our workspaces can be. We then reveal how video is changing customer interaction and driving bottom line results. You're watching BIZ Tech, where technical innovation meets business opportunity. Understanding user needs and mapping them against organizational priorities is never an easy task. But successful execution in this one area could literally unlock your ability to encourage user mobility rather than fight it. Our mobility expert Jay Shree sat down with author Neil Anderson, Director of Systems Architecture for Cisco, as they talk strategy for our mobility-loving culture and why you can't treat this as a project.
Bring your own device, BYOD. We clearly love our devices. When it comes to personal use, enterprise use, we want to use the same device. The future of the workspace, it's all about freedom. Enterprises are looking for speed of innovation, operational efficiency, and most importantly, productivity. So we have Neil Anderson here with us today to tell us about the Cisco perspective. So Neil, let's start with the user expectations. It's constantly changing with the proliferation of devices that's coming in. So what is the enterprise priority? What are some of the IT challenges?
So I think there's a lot of things happening all at once. People obviously are expecting mobility wherever they go now, whether they're in their company's environment or they're outside the company workplace. They expect mobility to work for them. They expect to be able to take their applications with them, and those applications give them a good experience. The second thing that's happening is really consumer devices in the workplace. All these different devices that we see, tablets, smartphones, et cetera, that people use in their personal lives, they want to bring those to work because they're good productivity tools. The third thing that's happening is really IT itself is starting to shift a lot more towards an IT-assisted or self-support model and a little bit away from a full support model. So all of these things create really challenges for IT. And I think in terms of priorities, things that folks need to think about are really bringing a complete solution to the problem. Thinking about this as a holistic architecture and how do I really solve all the challenges. Once people get these devices securely connected, what are they going to want to do with them? What applications are they going to want to run? And are those applications even available on some of these devices? So really it necessitates taking a complete look at the solution from the top to the bottom and having the right approach.
So what you're saying is BYOD is really an enterprise-wide project?
Absolutely. It's not a project that you can really think about in terms of just remote access or just security or just connectivity. Yeah. You really have to think through, once people are connected, what are they going to want to do on the network? How are they going to tie into their company's collaboration systems?
Exactly. So how important is that in terms of the complexity and the importance between the collaboration of applications and the mobile platform?
It's very important. One thing that we've learned is that mobile collaboration is not trivial. It really takes the right set of tools to be able to enable this on the wireless network as well as the 3G and 4G networks. It takes a partnership between the networking providers like Cisco as well as handset providers like Apple and Samsung to make sure that we've got the right tools to be able to bring together that user experience in the right way.
So with all this complexity, what is Cisco's solution?
So we have what we call the BYOD Smart Solution, and that really starts with the network foundation. How can we enable IT to build one network across wired, wireless, and remote and mobile access, and have the right tools in that network to bring the right user experience. Putting on top of that then security and policy, be able to give IT the tools that they need to still show that they can comply with security and regulations and compliance.
So is the lower stack all about unified access?
Unified access is a good way to look at it, absolutely, and that's what we call it at Cisco. It's about unifying the network infrastructure. How can we build the network once, both wired, wireless, and remote access, bring that all together so that IT can have a holistic view of the network, and we call that unified access.
Okay, so you were talking about security as a next stack.
Yeah, and then we need the right security and policy across that. Today what we see is we have really three different networks with three different security challenges. Customers are typically building a wired network with one security posture, a wireless network with a different security policy framework, and then a remote access with a third. We'd really like to bring those together because we feel like that's really the way that IT can scale to the challenge and have that visibility across all the networks.
Okay, how about the other stacks? Is it just the core infrastructure, security? What are the other stacks of the BYOD Smart Solution?
Well, and this is where I see customers make some mistakes, is you really need to think through what are people going to want to do once they're connected to the network. Once you've solved the connectivity and the security challenge, what's next? What applications are people going to want to run on the network and on these devices? And that's where it gets tricky. Having the right integration between those applications and having thought through how am I going to deliver those applications to the devices that people want to use, that's really where it takes a complete holistic solution.
So what are some of the vendors? Are we partnering with any vendors for the BYOD Smart Solution? What are the benefits and why?
Absolutely, and one of the philosophies of the smart solutions at Cisco is really to take Cisco products plus third-party products, partner with other vendors heavily to bring a comprehensive solution to the problem. For BYOD, what that means is we partner very heavily with handset vendors like Apple and Samsung and others, as well as mobile device management partners, MDM partners, bringing a holistic solution to our customers.
How about services? Where does services fit into the BYOD Smart Solution stack?
Once we have a smart solution, we validated that architecture with our products. The next step is really deployment challenges. How do you actually solve the BYOD problem? And what we found is it's very essential for someone to actually sit down with our customers and even talk about what is it they're trying to do with BYOD first, and so that we can have the right solution to them. And that's really where services can come into play, is being able to help companies assess themselves, what are we trying to do with BYOD, and then move to the next step of deployment.
Okay, so as a final question, Neil, how important is investing in BYOD Smart Solution, Cisco solution?
It's very important in general to invest in BYOD because what we found is it's actually becoming a recruiting and a retention issue for most of our customers. If you don't have a BYOD service at your company, often folks are either looking elsewhere to work or they're circumventing IT and implementing BYOD themselves, which can open security holes, or it can also offer not the best experience that they're looking for from the applications. So we think it's really important to have a BYOD strategy and implement it pretty quickly. And that's where the BYOD Smart Solution can come in. We've got a pre-validated architecture with Cisco products and third-party products, and it can help actually lower your deployment risk as well as accelerate your deployment of this, which is really essential for BYOD right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Neil. That was really nice.
Thank you, Jayshree. Nice to be here.
One of the biggest operating systems running applications in this mobility crazed world we live in is, of course, Android. Well, the question, is Android ready for business? Well, if you ask Cisco and Samsung, that answer is a resounding yes.
We've built a platform that allows the IT guys to do what they need to do to secure the device and actually gives the users what they want to have, a good, solid, fun device to use. One of the great things about Android is it's an open operating system, so folks like us can actually do things with the operating system. The downside of Android is it's an open operating system, so other people can attack the operating system. Safe is Samsung for Enterprise, and it's our platform that we've built to enhance Android over and above what you get on stock Android. Enterprises were typically looking at Android and saying, it's not really ready to come into the enterprise yet. This is our way to enhance what's already there, make it more enterprise friendly, working with folks like Cisco to enhance the VPN capabilities, working with some MDM partners to enhance the device management capabilities, trying to make a device that is actually enterprise friendly. Enterprises have limited options today. Typically when they want to go with a secure device, they have to go to a BlackBerry device or one of those kinds of things. And they're looking for devices that have a better user experience. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to marry both the good user experience with the enterprise capabilities so that you can have a device that your people want that you can secure. When you look at a holistic BYOD solution for a customer, you do have to think about the entire ecosystem. You have to think about what the end user is going to do with the device, what the end user is going to do with the network, what the end user is going to do with their data, how they're going to get their data, how they're going to see stuff. So you need to have the ability to integrate not just the software and the applications, you have to be able to integrate that delivery, You have to be able to integrate the device to make sure the device has the support for everything that needs to be done. It's one of the things that we've been able to do with Cisco is work with them on things like AnyConnect, Jabber, WebEx to make sure that our devices provide the right support for the rest of the system. For mobility, the biggest concern that enterprises have is security. They're worried about the fact that their data is on these devices. They've got the important stuff that they need to run their business on something that's very easily lost. It's something that's very easily stolen, very easily hacked into. So realistically, the whole idea of providing you or me or someone with a device that will have my forecasting, that will have all of the different marketing ideas, all the different sales ideas, everything we've got on a phone is very, very scary to the IT folks. Working with Cisco, we're able to secure the data on the device. We're able to make sure that the IT guy feels safe, that the intellectual property of the business is protected. The other thing that we're very interested in, the other thing that's great for us when it comes to Cisco, not only do we have to worry about the security stuff, once we get past the security piece of things, we have to get to the users actually being able to use the device. So that's where things like Jabber and WebEx, where we can do some of the deeper integrations with those, that gives the end user a better experience. So we all want to get to where we all have one device in our hand that runs our business, that runs our personal lives. We're trying to do that with our Safe product in that, and the integration with our partners like Cisco to make sure that we can have one device.
So it's more than just connectivity. This is clearly a cultural transition with such momentum that our only choice is to embrace it. In fact, you know what? I find checklists really helpful. I'll share with you 7 things that I think should be on your BYOD strategy checklist. So first thing on the list is secure access. I think this goes without saying, but make sure it's on the list that you don't bypass it. Next one I would consider is your onboarding policies and procedures. Don't get too wrapped up in this because there's a few more things on the list I would consider. Number 3, policy enforcement. Keyword there is enforcement. It's great to have a policy, you need that, but you need a way to enforce it as well, and the more automated the better. There's also number 4, which is visibility of devices. You can't control what you can't see. Then I'd also consider data loss and prevention. We've talked about DLP before, but this is really about the fact that you've got proprietary, very important data on these devices that are not necessarily under your full control. Make sure you've got a way for dealing with that. And then it follows revoking access, number 6. This is the opposite of onboarding. You've got to have a way to get these devices as being not allowed on the network when something has changed in their condition or they should no longer be there. And then finally, number 7, this is somewhat new because we've got new controls, wireless LAN performance. We now have more ability than ever before to control who's on our network, how much they can do, what they have access to, and how you control those things. Absolutely important for any lesson. That's my top 7, should be on yours as well. As part of the Cisco Unified Workspace, VXI, or Virtualization Experience Infrastructure, builds upon Cisco's data center, network, and collaboration architectures. Well, the promise is that VXI will reduce implementation risk while simplifying deployment. Laura Powers caught up with Phil Sherburne, one of the lead technologists for Cisco's desktop virtualization solutions.
Thanks, Rob. You know, desktop and application virtualization is being considered by companies across the globe. I mean, it's a really great way to reduce cost, enhance worker productivity, and also increase business agility. It's really easy to talk about the benefits, but how do we do it? Well, I'm sitting here with Phil Sherburne, and I'm going to get him on a hot seat and ask him a few hard questions. So, Phil, what do you think is really making companies take note of application and desktop virtualization today?
There are a few big trends that are going on that are driving this. One, the ever-increasing need for improved security. This continues to be a big thing. The attacks are coming in.
Also, not only attacks, but people are now bringing in their own devices, right? This whole BYOD phenomenon.
Absolutely. We like to think about it in terms of VXI as being able to operate with lots of different devices that people can use to access in a secure way with BYOD, our smart solution around that, but integrating that with VXI to be able to access those virtual desktops. So security is a big thing. Cost is one. The migration and ever-increasing use of cloud services. And then you mentioned flexibility. So this ability to bring employees on the rolls quickly, like contractors and so forth, but then to get them off the rolls quickly, including their compute infrastructure, and doing that all by keeping it back in the data center is just big drivers for the whole adoption.
So I've heard a lot about a unified workspace, be able to utilize whatever device you want in any location. It makes it easier, right?
Oftentimes people think about VDI as simply PC replacement or doing the compute. When Cisco, we took a much more holistic view of it. Certainly includes that in terms of the compute, but also bringing in voice and video. So it's not just compute, it's voice, and it's video. So it's the communication aspects along with the compute aspects of our daily work lives.
So give me a few examples and use cases of how customers are utilizing virtualization technology.
The kind of work groups that first come to mind are things like contact centers, both in-building contact centers, being able to have a simpler deployment for the home agent. But with our environment, you send them a thin client and they get full access to the corporate compute and corporate voice and video environments for those kind of contact centers.
They have all of the same features and functionality that they would if they were back in the main office.
Exactly, because people can work at home rather than feel like they have to come into the office. But how do you do that in a cost-effective, secure, and easy to deploy manner? And that's how we think VXI for contact centers for home agents is really important.
Great. So what are some of the more obvious benefits of application and desktop virtualization?
Certainly security is one. So all of this, the applications and the data is kept in the data center rather than out on a whole bunch of PCs that you may lose or get stolen
or even
whatever.
tablets,
yeah,
right?
Tablets,
so now
same thing.
It's giving the organization a little bit of control back, even though the users still have the flexibility to use whatever device they
Absolutely.
choose.
They can use whatever, but it's all looking at information back in that data center from whatever device. And then the operational characteristics. So one of the challenges for any IT department is how do I make sure that all the PCs in my organization are brought up to the same level? By doing it with desktop virtualization, where you have a copy back in the data center, you update that, and then when the user logs in the next time, they're gaining access to the updated versions.
Much more efficient.
Much more efficient, and a sort of a sense of safety that everybody's at the right level of security and so forth.
What about business continuity? We've had floods, we've had hurricanes.
If you think about it, most corporations have done work around data center resiliency. So they can, the workloads can move from one data center to the other in case one data center is affected by a disaster of some kind. But also, now that we've integrated the voice and video in there, as you move all of that from one data center to the other, where you're hosting your voice, where you're hosting the video, where you're doing the compute. That can move around, and then the users can continue to access that data from wherever they are, and it could be a remote branch. It might also be at a offsite location, but you have access to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
what about the impact to the bottom line and the total cost of ownership?
what we've started to see is with things we've done, being able to bring the voice, video, and compute together in a single device and so forth. Well, that helps on the cost at the desktop. But then the data center, what we've tended to see is one of the big areas of cost there is storage, because data center storage is way more expensive than the kind of little disks you have inside of your PC. And so, but with new technologies, things that we've integrated with partners from Cisco in our overall VXI solution, we can actually drive that cost down to maybe 30% of what it was just a matter of a year or two ago. So this is significant.
Wow, that's impressive. It
Yeah, it's great.
Really
So-
great stuff. From a collaboration standpoint, we were one of the first vendors to be able to offer voice and video in a virtualized
Absolutely.
environment
Absolutely.
too.
This
So
was a real-
Cisco's innovating and continuing to make innovations in this area.
Absolutely. So this was a big challenge in the industry. It's one that Cisco said we can step up to and deal with, and we're the first on the market with a complete voice and video solution integrated with desktop virtualization.
How do customers get started?
We've spent a lot of time and effort in all the regions around the world to train our partners, as well as obviously Cisco personnel, on the VXI solution. So you should be able to connect with them, and they can take you through that. And then, if appropriate and desired, they will connect you in with our services organization, which have these offers to help with the design and the planning and so forth that would be part of this.
One last question. If you had 1 minute to tell someone what's the most important thing that they need to know about desktop and application virtualization, what would you say to them?
Well, desktop and application virtualization is a trend that is really helping solve real business problems for customers. So it's not just a technology, but it's a business solution. With Cisco's VXI, what we've done is not only thought about this from a compute, the applications and that sort of thing, but thought about it as really the overall workspace, that unified workspace that includes compute and communication, that voice and video that we talked about.
Good stuff. Thanks, Phil.
Okay, great. Glad to be here.
So what's in a name? Well, Cisco calls it Virtualization Experience Infrastructure, or VXI. Now that's X for experience, which makes sense in my mind since it's a lack of a good experience that's doomed past attempts at desktop virtualization. But this is different. This is based on an architectural approach, one that says you need an experience that is on par with what you'd expect in today's modern workspace. Smart solutions for the mobile experience, as well as the virtualized workspace. I mean, these are all fantastic for the bottom line, but what about the top line? How can we apply these same strategies to the customer experience? In this era of globalization, the ability to deliver expert and personalized knowledge to customers of all types is increasingly critical to achieving high levels of customer care, business agility, and profitability. Every company has a wealth of experts whose knowledge could be optimized. The challenge is how to put your best people in front of your best opportunities. Imagine walking into the local branch of your bank. You need to speak to a home loan expert, but instead of stepping into a traditional office to meet with a live person, you step into an office with a video kiosk and simply push a button to speak with a home loan expert who's actually located in a call center or perhaps even just another bank location. High-definition audio and video ensures a personalized experience on par with what you would normally expect. The benefits of having the right experts on hand is straightforward, but these experts are also better armed to assist than their more physical counterparts. They have all the research, the tools, the policies, and procedures at their fingertips. Imagine certain explanations that can be communicated more effectively with the use of pre-recorded video or animation. Now, there are also going to be times when it makes sense to share a screen, perhaps illustrate how a customer can use the bank's web-based tools from their home computer. This drives higher satisfaction rates and lower costs over time as customers utilize more self-service options. Now, this increased utilization benefits personnel costs as well as physical space. These video-enabled offices can be used for multiple specialties, of course, and don't sit unused between student loan and retirement planning inquiries, for instance. Customers get what they need when they need it from the best resources available, and this keeps them coming back to your location rather than the competition. Well, that's Cisco's Remote Expert. One smart solution driving real differentiation for forward-thinking businesses in multiple industries. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. We've covered strategies, we've covered tactics, and hopefully a few good ideas you can take back to your own operation and apply to your individual situation. Hey, there's more information on the solutions we reviewed today. I encourage you, of course, to check out all the info for more details. I want to thank our guests, Phil Sherburne, Neil Anderson, Kenneth Daniels at Samsung, and of course my guest hosts, Jay Shree and Laura. Well, for BizTech, my name is Rob Boyd.